Yesterday, a fan of mine sent me a clip of Nick Fuentes, and it is him commenting on the aftermath of Charlie Kirk, and specifically what Hasan Piker said. And Fuentes is totally correct, 1,000,000% correct. His anger, his condemnation, it is pitch perfect, and it is completely to be commended. Watch.
And I think of somebody like Hasan Piker. Such a hollow, empty, sad person. Hasan Piker saw Charlie Kirk, someone that he knew, get shot in the neck and his neck erupt with blood. We don't need to be graphic about the details, but everybody should look at that long and hard and let it sit with you. When Hasan saw that, his first reaction was to make a glib remark about gun control. Seriously? That's a 31-year-old man. That's a young man with a wife and kids. He got shot in cold blood, publicly executed in front of thousands of college students. Never forget the trauma of his children, of his family. What about the people that witnessed this?
And by the way, everyone in the world witnessed it, so we're all deeply affected by this. But yes, a very astute point. And what Nicholas Fuentes is commenting on right now is what we didn't see from Hasan. What he posted was outrageous and vile. His first post was something like, Charlie Kirk has been shot. It was just like, there was no commentary, no condemnation, no sorrow, no humanity. It was just the most NPC, and he's right, the guy, he knew Charlie Kirk. He's talked to Charlie Kirk. He was about to talk to him in 2 weeks. He's a colleague of his. He's a person. He's a young man, younger than Hasan. And he had no ounce of humanity in him.
What about everybody that will be affected by the knock-on violence that results from this? And you hollow, sick person, your response is to make some glib remark about gun control? You.
100%. It is completely deranged to make a comment about gun control as your first tweet after this. Hasan showed no respect for this man, not an ounce of humanity, had nothing kind to say, no remorse, not even for the sake of self-preservation. Are you aware, Hasan, that if it comes out that this guy was a fan of yours, oh, I wouldn't want to be you. I would not want to be you right about now. But there are consequences to spreading violent rhetoric, to lying about your opponent. This shooter said Charlie Kirk was too hateful. He's not hateful at all, so it's a lie. But this psycho believed that lie and then killed him. And for it to be about gun control, I mean, so here's the thing. Hasan, he can't say something that his audience will hate. He's also a monster himself, like he's just a prick. So he's not going to say anything human, even though he just witnessed a guy he's about to talk to, an associate of his, a colleague of his, is murdered. I don't care if he's on the other side of the political aisle. Who cares? He's murdered? And you had nothing to say about it, but you said, America is so violent. This is yet another school shooting. So he goes back to his talking point of fuck America. And that's why Nick is sitting here going, fuck you. And he's 100% right to have said that.
Hi, this is Anthony Cumia.
And hello, I am Gavin McInnes.
Together, we're Compound Censored.
And we'd like you to subscribe to our network that has more fantastic content you could shake a stick at. Use this promo code for a one-time super offer.
Do it. It's uncensored and oh so entertaining.
The guy revealed his true colors. First of all, this is not a school shooting. The fact that it happened at some half-ass college in Utah, this school was not in session. This was not a bunch of students. There were some students and a bunch of other people. So for you to try to frame this as just another school shooting, and that's America being America, a man was assassinated that you knew and had plans to debate. There are people who had no idea who Charlie Kirk was or barely knew him, who are putting out thoughtful, profound, heartfelt eulogies over the guy. And Piker comes out with that, America's violent. And by the way, this has nothing to do with your stance on guns. Nothing. As you know, I don't like guns. I don't want my country to be riddled with hundreds of millions of guns. Okay? I mean, this is a problem and it's not good, and other countries don't have it like that at all. So on a principled stance, more than happy to argue that if you have a country, you shouldn't have it so that every random person can get guns, because you're going to get some 22-year-old guy who's being propagandized to, who has some emotional problems, and guess what? Now he has a high-powered rifle and he's killing people. Or cut to all the gangsters, cut to all the suicides. It's mayhem and chaos. And if you don't understand that, perhaps you've never left America to see that it can be done different elsewhere. Okay, that's beside the point. In reality, America has a shit ton of guns and barely any gun control. So that wasn't news to Hasan. That's not a real point to be like, America's violent. Thanks. A man you knew was assassinated on a live stream. And your point was, fuck America? And what about that gun control? Unbelievable. I had a debate with Nick years ago talking about gun control. It went nowhere. We talked past each other. Because from what I recall, I tried to establish that the more guns you have, the more gun deaths you have, as like a baseline understanding of like, I'm trying to have people not die so much. And he was like, no, I don't agree with that. So like, couldn't even agree with a basic non-controversial point. And then we got sidelined where he's like, no, but blacks and Hispanics do more gun violence. And I'm like, yeah, I acknowledge that. I talk about it all the time. Yes, they're still Americans. They're still here. It's still a problem. And so it went nowhere. Eventually I got to an analogy where I said, okay, if we were to live on a deserted island and it's like you, me, it's 100 people and we're castaways, would you prefer that everyone on that island had a gun or that no one had a gun? And his answer was, I want to have all the guns. It was something like, he was just being like a dorky, like fearful loser because he's a little guy. And he comes from Chicago where there's gun violence everywhere. And so it's not even a theoretical conversation. In America, you'd be lucky to chip away at any amount of gun control. And I've suggested you should be 25 to own a gun, which is not going to save America. It's not going to stop gun violence, but it's going to help a little bit. But the guy who just did this shooting was 22. Okay? If you have to be 25 to rent a car, maybe you should have to be 25 to buy a gun. Step one. And then it's just a matter of what kind of guns you allow and background checks. These are basic requests. You shouldn't get these weapons of war. You shouldn't get all this shit. Now, I'm saying this as a side thing. This is irrelevant to Charlie Kirk. You don't talk about gun control in the aftermath of an assassination. And if you do, you better pay your freaking respects to the man that was assassinated. Because the reason he's bringing up gun control is to say Charlie Kirk wasn't in favor of gun control, therefore he kind of deserves to die. By the way, Hasan, don't you own a gun? You're a gun owner. So who are you to say Charlie Kirk, his policy, he's pro-Second Amendment, but so are you? So the fact of the matter is, whether or not you are pro-Second Amendment or not, or whatever your stance on gun control is, you do not deserve to be murdered. Okay, and if you are murdered, that's a horrifically ghastly act, and it has nothing to do with your stance on the Second Amendment. It's a murder. And to suggest that because he didn't want rampant gun control or the abolition of guns, that somehow his death is his own fault, that is insane. And that is victim blaming, pure and simple. That's why Nick is mad right now. It's personally abhorrent, it's an ethical non sequitur, it's a disgusting and grotesque smear to say that the guy that just got sniped is kind of at fault. So this is projection beyond belief. All they do is project. And so when you have a leftist, and I guess we're still waiting to determine where this guy got his marching orders from, but if you end up hating Charlie Kirk, I'm guessing, it's not a Groyper that did this. Groypers don't think Charlie Kirk was hateful. As Ben Shapiro just pointed out on Bill Maher, he said Groypers think Charlie Kirk isn't hateful enough. He's soft. He's a Disney character. He's Ned Flanders. So if it's a guy from the left and it's Antifa and the guy's writing shit on his bullets, and right now the left are hoping, oh, I think he was sarcastically writing that stuff. Yeah, he was using some internet memes and some gaming shit, but you're really getting desperate. I think when he wrote that shit about trans or about Antifa, he was kidding. Okay, let's see how that turns out. But when a guy on the left, Hasan doesn't want to blame the left. He doesn't want accountability, definitely not personally. And so what does he do? His opponent gets shot. He's about to have a debate with him. He victim blames that guy for his stance on gun control, saying you're kind of partly to blame here. And then he just says, fuck America. As if a broad statement like fuck America, which is 1,000% what he said. He said, America is so violent. That is a worthless statement. You have one guy plotting and carrying out an execution to your, maybe not friend, a guy you know and do business with and have plans with. Okay, you shit? And your response is America's violent? Why not just say the Western Hemisphere is violent? What kind of a worthless statement is that? It's just some generic umbrella talking point of fuck America. Goes back to my regressive agenda, which it's like fuck America, and also fuck whites, and also fuck conservatives. So the left can't grapple with the fact that they are the violent ones, and so they put it over somewhere else. America's the violent one. Well, an American who is influenced by leftists just did some violence. So don't say America's violent, say you're violent. Say the left is violent. He can't, and so he blames Charlie Kirk and he blames America. He hates America. He thinks America deserved 9/11. Charlie Kirk loved America, had all sorts of merch with the American flag all over it. He was a freaking patriot.
And here's my message to Hasan Piker and every liberal sucker like him. You better disavow this violence. You better cry like Dean Withers. And I don't say that, maybe that comes off like I'm humiliating him. Who knows whether that was sincere or not? I hope to God that it was. And if it was, you know what? Good on him. That's a good kid. And he said some nasty things about me. That's a kid with a conscience. He said, I don't think we should kill people for disagreeing. Is that divisive now? He had to apologize for weeping that someone he knew was murdered. That kid has a conscience. I have some faith in that generation. Here's my message to Hasan and all these smug, glib liberals like that. If you cannot, if you will not disavow this violence, we will have no choice but to consider you as no different than the killers.
And I've made this point, I made it in my last video. It's 1A and 1B. And you see this in many other situations. When he says there's no difference, I might suggest they're worse. They're worse than the killer. To celebrate a killing, to advocate for a killing, to incite a killing, how is that not on par, if not worse than the killing? The intention is there. Actually carrying out the act, Hitler didn't do the Holocaust. Don't clip that. But literally, Hitler didn't do it. He had the intention to do it. He delegated it. He didn't pull the lever. So these people who inspire killers are, someone's got to do it. All this violent rhetoric. And by the way, Nick Fuentes is a guy came and tried to assassinate him. The fact that he's even talking right now is a miracle. A guy with a freaking automatic weapon at his door. And how do you think that happened? So he's speaking from that place. Not only has he grown up in Chicago and seen all that shit, someone tried to kill him. It doesn't matter if you think Nick Fuentes is a freak or you disagree with him on whatever you want. It really is as cut and dry and simple, and that's what he's saying. You're either a violent murderous prick that we as a society have to deal with, as in suppress, detain, arrest, throw away in a dungeon. You must be held accountable. Or you're a normal person. He was just praising some little scrub leftist because the guy showed humanity and rose above political tribalism.
That's complicity. You could be forgiven up until this point for being irresponsible. We all get heated. We all do it. I'm guilty of it too. It makes hypocrites of all of us. We murder each other with our words all the time, with our gossip, our slander. We overreact. We say things we don't mean. We get angry. We harbor grudges and resentment, things that we should not. And that's not to excuse it. But the day that someone gets shot for the disagreement, if you can't bring yourself to show the slightest ounce of humanity to a moderate Republican who got killed for no reason, this is a moment we all recognize could set us down the path towards a civil war, could set us down the path towards unbelievable horror, suffering, bloodshed. If you can't bring yourself, even for the selfish sake of yourself or your own people or your own pathetic side, to show the slightest ounce of humility, of mercy, of magnanimity, benevolence, charity, then you are no better than the killer. And that means that you must be destroyed politically as well. That's not a call to violence. But people like that have to be suppressed.
100% correct. Everything he just said. I second, I agree, totally right. Completely and totally correct assessment of the situation. And he said, look, even for your own self-preservation, why don't you try to ratchet down the rhetoric and try to restore some normality and sanity and nonviolence. And Hasan cannot do that. Because he is the violent wannabe LARPing revolutionary prick. He is that pussy. He does threaten violence. He does put out death threats. He does support terrorist groups. It was so weird watching him. He's watching an innocent man be killed on stream, and he reacts like, oh my God, that's so terrible. Hasan, what do you think the Houthis, Hezbollah, Hamas, the IRA, what do you think those groups do? And all of a sudden, when he has to see it, he's not about it. But when he's doing his little chuckle fuck little make-believe game of like, aren't I a badass? I support terrorist groups because I'm a hairy Muslim and they are too. And, long live the communist revolution. Like all that stupid shit. When reality comes, there's a wake-up call. Oh shit, I'm not about that life. Oh shit, I'm a fucking evil monster. That realization might come, but just out of the will to survive. Do you know how many people are enraged at what just happened to Charlie Kirk? Where are they supposed to put that rage? On the shooter? He's captured. He's going to jail forever. Or he might be killed. So then who else? They're just going to swallow it? You don't think that there are people over there going, you know what? If that's how they're going to be, then this is how I'm going to be. No, this is not what the right wants. This is not what I want. This is why we've been criticizing you motherfuckers for years for your violent rhetoric and for your total immorality. I'm not even mentioning the reaction from these people, which is horrific and will forever be a stain on their souls, and smart of people to dox them and get them fired and show that there is such a thing as karma. And look, people, Hasan Piker could have stepped up and said very appropriate, wise, heartfelt things about this. He didn't. You knew he wouldn't. Turns out Nick Fuentes did. But Devin, you don't agree with Nick Fuentes or Hasan, so why are you saying one thing or another? Because what Nick said is 100% right. That's why. And Hasan, what he's saying is abysmal and pathetic and evil. And now, you know what the cherry on top is? And it's so predictable. Hasan and the far left are now going to project again and pretend that the right are threatening you. I'm being threatened by the right-wingers now, and they're the violent ones, and they're coming for me. Oh my God. You get lost in the sauce. It's so many cycles and loops of projection that we're in the middle of a Laurel and Hardy sketch. It's who's on first? What's on second? I don't know. No, I don't know's on third. Wait, you do violent rhetoric and you threaten to kill people? No, that's them. Where's them? Them's on second. What's on second? No, what's on first? I mean, it's just lies. But it's like, these are the moments where the mask is off. Hey everyone, turn the lights on. Our little game.
So, if you enjoyed that clip,
then subscribe to Compound Censored using this promo code.